All right, good afternoon. Great to see everyone. Practice 13 tomorrow. We'll have a full padded practice on 13, and then we have 14 where we're back into just helmets and jerseys, clean some stuff up, get ready for the off season or summer time for those guys, and then 15 on Saturday. Once again, due to our situation we have at the defensive line, we're just going to practice. Probably the least amount of scrimmage that I have done in my time as a head coach from a spring ball session, simply because I think the other day we were down to 3 defensive linemen, and then we lost Stang, who was helping us out, and Nelson Pipes was one of the 3, and he's a long snapper, and Pipes doing a heck of a job. So it's just been hard, and every time we have a drill, offense versus defense, we have to supplement that with the special teams for 5 or 6 minutes to get those 3 kids a breath, and they go hang out on the side. And so we probably will get one guy back tomorrow and Saturday to maybe get us up to 4 or 5, but I think the max we've had is 5, and you can't function as a normal practice. And so hope we're getting a lot better at special teams, and that was the emphasis. During a team period, myself and another coach are down there doing special teams drills with everybody from old guys to young guys, emphasizing an awful lot of things, do a lot of full group, punt versus punt return, kick versus kick return, not to the ground, but just full speed. That's an area that we know we need to improve upon. Even though we've been good, we want to be great. And so we feel good that we're getting better there. And then we'll finish up here and have those 3 days, and then coaches will be on the road and guys will finish up the semester.
With how abbreviated that it has been, is there any fear that you're maybe not or losing something that you normally get out of spring?
No, we did. You always are conscious that are you getting that, but with the amount of skill kids that we have returning, we're getting all of our 7-on-7 work. We're getting for the most part, all but 2 guys, wide receiver, running back, quarterback, defensive back, linebacker, are doing some things. The only area that really isn't is defensive line. I know that Coach Riley's a little bit concerned that we're not blocking Eli and we're not blocking Felix and Nate and Pickle and D. Hintz and all these guys. So that's the area that's not getting it. But all those kids have played enough on defense. And then I know Cooper Beebe and I know Duff and those guys are wishing those guys were out there just from a competition standpoint, but I think we'll be able to get that back in August.
How close were you to getting to know what your interior of your offensive line will look like come fall?
We won't know till the fall. I mean, you can say a young man's getting better at being assignment sound and getting better with technique and those things, but we want to make sure we get through the fall where they're blocking Pick and Eli and D. We've played BB more inside. We've been impressed with Andrew Line-Gang outside. He's been nicked up a little bit, but Taylor Portier's not taking any of those snaps at all. So it's still a work in progress. We know the guys that we're working with, but we have a long ways to go once we get to fall camp.
And lastly, how comfortable are you with the backfield beyond Deuce?
Getting better, but constant competition. Everybody will have a day here and there, whether it's Shippers or whether it's DJ and Jax, and we've even put Seth Porter back there a little bit. We were really excited about Devon Withers, and he's missed all of spring with an injury that happened during bowl prep. So that'll be a work in progress throughout fall camp.
How much more do you think you'll get into the transfer portal now that spring's over?
I'll know more by the end of April after all of our meetings go, because once we get done with spring ball, the coaches will meet with the players individually, and then I'll meet with players throughout the rest of the month of April to see where we're at. But we have a few available. There's some position things that we're still looking at to see where we can maybe move a guy around internally on our roster, but we have a few that we're probably going to use, yes.
You kind of touched on this, but the circumstances around which you're having to operate this spring, is it forcing you into some areas that maybe would have gotten ignored if you could just go full scrimmage?
Oh, absolutely. Just getting better at technique things on special teams, which we always work special teams, but I mean, we're sustained 15, 20 minutes on drills rather than 5 minutes go to the next thing, 5 minutes go to the next thing. We would be a group doing team stuff and everybody else down with myself and Coach Wyatt for this 15, 20 minutes and working the details of all these drills. And then when we go full group, punt and punt return, kickoff return, we're seeing some of the drill work carry over into the 11-on-11 setting. So I'm really hopeful that the reps these guys are getting is going to pay off.
And spring football games were always kind of a cool tradition of football through the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Do you feel like more programs are just kind of moving away from that whole idea?
Yeah, I think they are. It was always neat back in the day having a big spring game to finish it off. I was a part of 20 practices, so you're really glad when it was done and you had a spring game. I don't think people's roster sizes are big enough right now to do it. There's some kids mid-year enrollees, so you get a few of those guys, but with the revolving door of roster management, I think we have 98 guys on our roster right now. I would think 30 of those aren't practicing because of some kind of condition or surgery or something. So you can't do much with 60 guys. And it's great. We've got a bunch of wideouts, but we don't have a bunch of defensive linemen, so you can't scrimmage. So I think it is probably. And everybody, we got to be smart. We're trying to get everybody to the summer and everybody to the fall because you're going to win and lose a spring game no matter what. You're going to be a winning side and a losing side. I want to make sure that we get everybody to August as healthy as we can get.
And finally, last one from me. We're all trying to wrestle with the NIL and figure out what the hell it means, how it impacts us. But as a head coach, is there a concern level that stuff impacting your recruiting might be going on out there that's kind of beyond your grasp or control?
Yeah, control what you can control there, Fitz. And I don't know what's going on. I'm learning more and more about things. You read about things. I don't know how accurate they are. You guys don't know how accurate they are. I know it is more prevalent right now than it was last year at this time. And how that impacts the kids that are in the portal, how that impacts the classes over the next few years that are coming in, and how that impacts your current team. We're all trying to get our arms around that. But until we can get some legislation and try to corral it, which I don't think is going to happen, I think it's going to continue to be what it is, and nobody knows. And all of a sudden, when will people know? Your guess is as good as mine.
Because wide receiver does seem to be a position where you could actually see him practice every day and didn't have a bunch of injuries. How would you assess that unit, and who stood out to you this spring?
RJ Garcia is the one that stood out the most to me, and I always thought he was a really talented player, but was young, learning the offense last year as a true freshman. Coach Ward's has him playing fast and understanding what he's doing and really attacking footballs in the air. So you can look at the guys like Phillip, Malik, Cade that have played a ton of snaps for us, playing really, really well. And you look at RJ continuing to improve, and a guy that's getting into the mix for sure. I think Sebastian's healthier and doing some things that can help us. Xavier Lloyd's doing some really nice things. Ty Bowman's doing some really nice things. You can go down the line. Shane Porter, Seth Porter, all those guys. We're getting a lot of guys involved. But RJ would be the one that has been the most impressive to me.
And with Adrian, what all did he do this spring to help you, even though he's not throwing? And when would you expect him to, start throwing with the guys privately again?
I would say in May. It would be my guess. When I'm talking in May, their own 7-on-7s, their own things that they're doing. I've seen him throw. And his progression of throwing on a daily basis, weekly basis has continued to amp up. I walked by my office and he was out there throwing with the athletic trainers, throwing 40 and 50-yard balls. So I think we're really progressing there. But I don't know how quickly that's going to be. People surrounding me, let's go. It will be for sure in August. I'm hopeful that it is for him throughout their summer stuff with the guys, but ask what he's done. He does a lot of the run game stuff. That's when you guys see him out there in pads. it's a run play. He's on an end with Will, and he's going through everything as if it's a play except for if it's a pass. So he's running a lot of the quarterback run stuff to us to just under center, turning and giving back on power and some of our other gap scheme stuff. So he's learning a bunch on the run, and we've had a lot of walkthroughs, and we're going to have a few more these next few days, not just for him, but for Taylor Poitier, for Sincere Mason, for Will Honus, for Devon Withers, for all the guys that can't practice so that we can simulate as best we can.
And another unusual circumstances this spring, but say next spring you guys are healthy again, would you like to get back to doing some type of event with fans showing up in the spring?
It would be great. And even if that is, cut down to we're going to practice for 45 minutes and have a younger guys scrimmage for 30 minutes. That would be neat. We just can't even do that right now.
How would you describe Cooper Beebe's acclimation to move inside, given that he has moved around a lot?
I think it's good for him. I think it's going to help him in the long term learn more about our offense, be able to help more guys, especially the younger guys. We like to have him at the point of attack. You're much more at the point of attack inside than sometimes you are outside unless you're just going right at that left side. So I think he's done a nice job of challenging himself to get out of his comfort zone to learn more and more about what we do. And he's a really good communicator on the offensive line. And you get an interior guy, obviously Noah, everybody knows, was such a great communicator inside out. Now you get a guy like him. I think Gilly's done a really good job, Hayden Gillum, of being a really good communicator. Hadley Panzer the same way.
Given your limitations, how would you describe your defensive depth as it kind of flowed through the spring?
Not real deep right now. I mean, that's something, we know Khalid's going to play. We all know that Khalid's a good enough football player. Is he going to help us more at defensive end? Is he going to help us more at Sam Backer? Sean Robinson, is he going to help us as an outside backer, as a safety? We're playing him in both spots. Kobe Savage, another new kid. Is he going to help us at the strong side safety, at the weak side safety? So the depth is a work in progress. Simply because we're moving some guys around to try to make sure we either get the best 11 or the best 15 or 16 guys out there.
Depth has changed, obviously, a little bit at linebacker in the last couple of days. Is anybody step up this spring at linebacker to help out with the depth?
I think Crew Jackson's had a really good spring. We just got to keep weight on Crew. He gets taller every day. But, just trying to keep – he's all a 6'6". It's just trying to keep weight on him as he continues to grow. He's got tremendous length. He's a physical kid. He's a smart player. And he's going to help us next year. He's playing some Sam Backer. He's playing a ton of special teams. He's one that has stood out to me. You can tell when Daniel Green's on the field because – whether he's got older defensive linemen, younger defensive linemen, he's making plays all over the place. Austin Moore, who's been nicked up most of the spring, has been healthy the last 5 or 6 practices. He's playing really well. I'm excited about what Austin's going to be able to do. And then, we don't have Nick right now. Nick Allen would be a guy. Will Honus, we don't have Will. We think Will's in the mix there too. So it'll be a big summer for those guys that have been injured to do some stuff on their own.
What is the gap right now between Will Howard and Jake Rubley?
Experience-wise, Will is ahead of Jake as far as figuring things out, I think, cerebrally and what he checks at the line of scrimmage and how he sees things. He just played more football. And Jake is doing so much better of having those tough situations of we're looking like we're blitzing this way and all of a sudden we're coming this way, or the coverage looks like it's rotating weak and it's rotating strong. It just takes a while to do that. And when we don't have double reps because we're doing special teams at another end now, all those quarterbacks are taking reps, so you're not getting quite as many as we would like. And so in fall camp, we've got to make sure and continue to push Jake so that he feels more and more comfortable. But he's improved so much from fall to spring.
And my last question is, you brought a white helmet in here. We've seen the white uniforms before. But I've talked about a lot on my show about a black uniform. We've seen it in basketball, Has there been any discussions, any possibilities maybe of
Yeah,
black
not
uniforms
that I
somewhere?
know of, honestly, not that I know of. And part of that is us getting out to Nike sometime, and it's been tough to get out there with pandemic things. And that stuff takes time. My brother's in the uniform business, and talking to him on a daily basis about trying to get product out with supply chain stuff. It's I would be nervous about purchasing something and thinking that's going to get to where it's supposed to be in time. But something that we will continue to talk about, but probably not in the near future.
Back to linebackers, you lost a little bit of depth there at the Wilbecker
Yep.
this week. Have you moved some guys around, or what does that side look like?
It's been Austin Moore, who is really the guy that's taken most of the reps. And, we do some 7-on-7. Will Honus can do that, which is good. Khalid can play a little bit of that during 7-on-7. But it's like every other position. Until we get a lot of these guys back from injuries, we're still trying to build depth. And so it is what it is.
What's the value of Malik as far as being an all-purpose player?
Well, we need to continue to find ways to get him the football, and I think you guys saw that in the bowl game, whether it's on a jet sweep to a quick little bubble or smoke screen to crossing routes to vertical routes, as well as in the return game. He's really valuable, and we've got to continue to find ways to get him the ball. What I'm excited about Malik is I think he'll be a guy that we'll use on punt and kickoff. And he and I have had some good conversations. I've got him in some drill work on some tackling stuff and coverage things. It's going to help him for what his true aspirations are beyond college. And I'm excited because he's bright-eyed to say, hey, let me help on these things. And we need that. We need the Dalton Schoens that were on everything. And Malik can be one of those guys.
Sammy Wheeler, I think we're going to talk to him for the first time today. He's a Lenexa guy. He converted quarterback
Yep.
to tight end, put on 20 pounds. What's he meant to you?
Leadership and taking ownership after we lost, Barta and Nick Lenners this past year. He's the old guy in the room, and love what he's done, not only on the field but in the locker room, in the weight room, around the younger guys, helping those guys. He's had tough times. He's had injuries, and he's had success on the field. And Sammy's a terrific football player, and now it's his time to share his knowledge with an awful lot of young guys, because we have some young tight ends in that room that are, I think, going to be really good, and they need to hear that it's not always going to be easy. And Sammy'd be the first one to tell you it's not easy, but we're excited, and I think Sammy will be a big part of the offense.
Another question I had on Malik that I forgot about, I apologize. The Klein offense, we saw it in the bowl game, as you said. How do you feel like that might cater toward his talents?
Well, it's going to cater toward a lot of guys' talents in the fact of if they're going to take away Malik with two guys, we're going to be able to spread the ball around to a lot of different people. If they want to pack everybody in and try to defend Deuce, then we have multiple receivers outside. So just the fact that it's a little bit more up-tempo and it's a little bit faster, and the fact that we're getting the ball downfield as well as spreading it horizontally as well, I think that's going to fit his game.
This is the second spring that Will's kind of been able to operate as the number one quarterback. How have you seen his progression, especially this past spring?
Confidence, accuracy, and arm strength are the three things. Will has always been very, very sharp and understands what we're doing, and is a really coachable guy, and has a ton of pride, and so pleased with the progress that Will has made, and excited to see where that progress can go once we get into competitive environments, because he has done some things mechanically to help accuracy and arm strength. And as long as he continues to work on those things, which I know he will, because very few people will outwork Will Howard on our football team. The kid's going to be a really, really good player. And he knows he's in a position now where, yeah, we've got competition for him. And he thrives on that. He's not, why are you bringing somebody in? I'm thriving on it. I'm just going to make me better. And so I've just seen him grow so much as a person as well as a player. But the confidence that he's playing with, and those kids in that locker room believe in him. And, you know, right now he's running a deal over at the Union for us right now on a Be the Match campaign. And he got the team involved with that. And, you know, that shows you he can galvanize a football team.
And then it's been alluded to a couple times, but just because it's such a strange situation with him only being on campus for 4 months, can you go into the, you know, what went down with Brandon Jennings as far as his decision to leave the program?
It just didn't work out, and we wish him well. And that's kind of where I'll leave it at, in the fact of, you know, we're going to focus on the guys that are here, but it didn't work out, and we wish him nothing but the best.
Chris, in your last couple seasons, you didn't go the fastest tempo offense in the world. Now it seems like Colin wants to get you going that way. Maybe not like Texas Tech, but faster. What was your reaction when he said that's what he wants to do, get things sped up a little bit more?
Well, he and I had the conversation about it prior to the bowl game, and it's something that I wanted to do as well. And it's still, you're going to win collectively as a team, and Colin knows that, understands that, and believes that as well, that just because you don't huddle doesn't mean you're going to snap it within 12 seconds and you're going to run off 95 plays, because on the other side of the ball you're going to probably defend 93 plays and you're not going to last. And so it's just trying to give some people a little bit different look, trying to utilize the matchups, and we really feel, and we wanted to utilize that against LSU, was the matchups that we have. It's difficult to defend Phillip. It's difficult to defend Malik. It's difficult to defend Deuce. You get all three of them out there, and you're going a little bit quicker. Guys like Cade make plays. Guys like Sennett can make plays. Guys like Sammy can make plays. And all of a sudden, everybody gets involved, and there's more opportunities when you're going to – maybe it's 70 plays rather than 57. Maybe it's one game 75 plays rather than 59. I mean, those are more opportunities for guys to have success. But Colin and I are on the same page. If you're up 14 points, why are you going as fast as you can to try to see how quickly you can get the ball back to the other offense? Maybe you got to slow it down. But maybe you don't allow that defense to dial up every blitz in America because you come out of a huddle. And so those are things. And yeah, we've huddled an awful lot this spring, and we'll continue to huddle some. But there's other times where we're not going to huddle. And I think the guys have been really excited about some of the things that we can do once we get everybody here in the summer.
I also wanted to ask, looking ahead to the NFL draft, you've been as optimistic as anybody about Skyler's potential as an NFL quarterback. Now that you've actually seen him, you know, in the Shrine Game and Pro Day and everything, what is it? Are you more bullish now, and what do you think makes him such a good player at the next level?
I haven't heard enough things other than the places that he has gone, as far as having really good success at a couple of visits he went to and people coming and working him out, how high people are on him. But I don't know where he's at as far as where other quarterbacks are. Skyler will be on a roster and have a great opportunity to stick on a roster. I couldn't tell you where he's at as far as, is he going to be a mid-round guy, a free agent guy. I just know this. The kid's a winner. He's just a flat-out winner, and he's going to make everybody around him better. And even if he's not the guy, I know his experience of being hurt and helping Will Howard game plan and helping Coach Klein and Coach Mess game plan and get things ready, he'll make a great addition to a quarterback room. And doesn't mean you're going to take a ton of snaps. I mean, Easton Stick's going to hold a clipboard for maybe the fourth year in a row behind a kid like Justin Herbert. It's not a bad living.
You mentioned Ben Sennett a moment ago. I was just curious as to maybe the progress that he's made from the bowl part of the season till now.
Yeah. Ben has as much ability as a tight end / fullback as as anybody that we've coached in this system. And his ability to be physical, his ability to run, his ability to catch the ball in space and get open it's a tough matchup for people. And it's now just continuing to slow the game down for Ben. And he's got to work at it. And I think Coach LePac's done a really good job with him as far as teaching him more of the details rather than nothing but big picture things. Ben's got to break down the details. And if he breaks down the details of, the proper footwork, the proper leverage to use, how to set people up, physically he's as gifted as anybody. I think he can be better as far as those details.
Here too with the Will Howard scenario. That's impressive what you're talking about, how he embraces that. Do you use him as an example with maybe other positions of how he's embraced the competition?
I hope that the way Will carries himself, that other guys see it, rather than having to explain, hey, look what he's doing, because other guys potentially are in that same boat. But just the way he carries himself on and off the field, what he does in the community, what he does in the locker room, I think it sets the example that we want all of our guys to be able to emulate.
What about the progress of Darrell and Omar? We saw them early last year, and you could tell that they had a lot of potential.
Yeah. Darrell is really, really fast, really good cover guy. We have to get him continuing to understand the whys of the zones and the leverage of different zones. But he's made a lot of really good plays just because he's a really good man coverage guy. Omar's interesting because he missed most of last season with a wrist injury, came back for the bowl game as an emergency guy only, and then as we've come through fall camp on spring ball, as far as defensive guys alone, he would be as a top or the top 2 or 3 of the most improved players. And we're going to need him to be, because right now he's the third corner with us moving Josh Hayes to safety.